All right, there we are. Welcome to another episode of Frags and Beer Radio News. Missed a couple of weeks because I was on a business trip, so welcome back if you're joining us. Joined tonight by my co-host Russell Michaels. Welcome, Russell.
Hello.
And so let me get some messages out there. So yeah, we missed a couple weeks. If you're watching the live show, again, thanks for coming back and joining us. If you're watching the recording, definitely subscribe to the channel if you like everything. We need 45 more subscribers to get to 100, which is what we need to get that custom URL. So we appreciate every one of you guys that click that red subscribe button and stick with us every week. So we're going to jump right into it. We got some small stories, and then we're going to get into some bigger stuff and some recaps or some continuations of previous stories that we've had. The first little one, I do love to pull out some of the space news, and this one sounded really cool for a lot of reasons. But of course, everybody knows, like, they've been talking about the SpaceX project and a lot of different projects planning on getting to Mars. And the International Space Station is actually going to host do a trial of the Australian-designed thrusters that somebody think could make the trip to Mars quite a bit faster and more efficient. If I remember right, I'm reading this article off of ABC. It's actually ABC out of Australia, so it's abc.net.au. And these are, I believe it said ion engines, so that threw up my little geek flag because of the whole, TIE fighter thing. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know, amid all of the stupid shit that they're talking about Elon Musk, and all the crap that everybody's saying about him, there is actually some really cool stuff that people are talking about for these upcoming planned missions to Mars. So, and you said, Russell, did you say there is an Indiegogo project for this one?
No, it's the second story.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, I think this one, I'm not sure that you could raise enough money. Like, these things are
no, you couldn't.
Ridiculous expensive. But if let's see here, they say that they're talking, titanium ions and plasma. I mean, they're talking about ions and plasma and pulse arc discharge. This shit's starting to sound like Star Trek. Which is really cool.
Iron Man.
Yeah, like, it's really neat, this stuff. Talking about the particles come out of the back is hydrogen and oxygen rocket. Less fuel, they're saying. Faster velocity. Just a really, really cool bit of space science that I found for you cats. So wanted to throw it out there. But continuing our iPhone 7 coverage / criticism, there's a company out there, Fuse, is making a case that is going to bring the headphone jack back to the iPhone 7.
Unfortunately, it's $69 plus shipping.
$69 plus shipping is cheaper than the BlackBerry the Bluetooth headphones that
I know that, which is why I'm considering it.
Yeah.
Why I'm considering it, and to be fair, it has a backup battery, so it's not like, because I spent, like, the current case I have for my iPhone 6s Plus is like $10 or less. So it has an external battery unit. So I still have to look into how it works.
Right.
But yeah, I'll probably get the 7 Plus in the next couple of months, and as long as I'll get it around the time this comes in the mail.
Gotcha. So yeah, if you guys are interested, thenextweb.com is where I'm reading this article, and there is an Indiegogo campaign, and there is a couple different price points, depending on if you back really early, you can get this thing for $50.
And those are already gone, so it's up to $69 now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I opened the Indiegogo project because I wanted to consider backing it.
I see. But like you said, and it's funny you mentioned that it's got an external battery pack, because the iPhone, I just recently read too that the iPhone has rated, as far as call time, the battery is actually rated the worst of all of its competitors. The iPhone 7 rated worse than the Samsung S7 and the the new HTC device, by a lot. Almost a third of the battery life for call time for the iPhone, which is bad, because I have an Samsung S6 and the battery life on that thing sucks. And I hear the S7's not that much better. So for the iPhone 7 to have worse battery life than a Samsung, that's pretty bad. So that external
battery doesn't explode though. So there's that.
There's that. But that's the Note 7. That's a different animal there. But
yeah, HTC run on Google or a different operating system?
I think HTC is Android. Yeah, it's running on
Android,
just like Samsung.
Yeah. Is there, other than BlackBerry, is there just Google and Apple at this point?
Well, I think you can still get Windows phones, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, well I forget. I completely forgot about them because everyone did.
Yeah, you can still get them, but nobody does. So I wouldn't be
it's like it's the Zune of this.
Right. Yeah.
It's the new Zune.
Nobody.
So I'm looking at this thing. Yeah, I am. The interesting thing about the iPhone 7 is that Google released a new phone today. They're starting to come out with their own Google branded phone.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be called Pixel.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be any good, but I'll look at the specs on it.
It's hard to say. It might be really good. It might give these guys a run for their money in a few years. I don't expect it to be like amazing coming out of the gate, but competition.
The question is, will they be able to top Apple's profit margin?
Right.
Because that's really what. And I personally think I think the iPhone 8 will probably bring back the headphone jack because
probably,
or the 7S will bring it back because everyone hates that they don't have it.
Yeah,
it is universally despised that we don't have it.
Absolutely,
because the adapter goes through the power connection, so if you use it for headphones, you can't charge it at the same time.
Right,
which is really bad.
And a lot of people do that. I've heard people say, "Well, who really does that anyway?" Well, everybody I work with does. When we get to work, we plug our.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah,
because I'm using Skype on my phone, and I'm keeping it charged because I charge at the end of the day.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
It's unfortunate. But yeah, hey, we got somebody in the chat. Thanks for joining the chat. If you're watching the show and you're not in the chat, get in here, ask us questions or give us comments or let us know what you think. But yeah, check out that Indiegogo campaign for that Fuse case. If you want to get your headphone jack back, you really like the iPhone 7, but you're upset about that, and you want the extended battery. I mean,
I have a feeling one like this will be out within 6 months. A similar one that will be cheaper.
Probably.
So.
And Apple,
without an external battery.
Probably, yeah. Apple will come out with one before long. It'll be $160.
No, they'll come out with one that's just the case itself. It wouldn't have an external battery.
Yeah. And
they'll probably charge like $30 for it. That would be the price point, I'd guess, because they're going to make a ridiculous amount of money on it.
Yeah.
So they're going to make it expensive.
Yeah.
But a peripheral will come out that's like $20 within like 6 months.
Yeah.
Made by it'll be in like TJ Maxx within 6 months.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on from that to something, we're only touching this because it's technology related. Again, on the show, we try to stay away from some of the politics, but we're going to hit a little bit of politics tonight, both in the real world
you have to,
and in the
with this story.
world. Yeah, thehill.com has got a story that, if you don't know already, the internet oversight or control of the internet, has been transferred now to a group of other countries.
UN body, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, it's like a small portion of the UN has made this small council or whatever, and they want.
I believe it happened Friday.
And and this story is from 9/20. So this is actually from Thursday, and the transfer happened on Friday, but. As we know, the way our government works, things are slow to happen, but 4 states are actually suing.
Surprised it's only 4, honestly. More would have gotten involved with this.
Yeah, I am too, and it's pretty unfortunate. I know that maybe it's arrogant of us to assume that America should have control over portions of the internet, especially, for instance, on my website. I'm a U.S. citizen. My website should be overseen by myself and my government. And as much as I don't trust my government, I trust my government more than I trust Russia, China, and Iran, who are members.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Right.
That's the problem.
Exactly. And those are part of the international body that's going to oversee the domain systems now for the government.
Though I imagine we're on it, so we probably would retain veto authority.
We probably are on it, yeah. It's just what people are worried about, what I'd be worried about, is that this gives countries like China who block the internet in their own country and countries like Iran who block the internet in their own country, it gives them oversight over domains that are that really do exist as a U.S. entity. Like, for example, I'll use I'm a small site. fragsandbeer.com is a tiny site. I don't expect China or Iran to come knocking on my domain and ask or tell me to do anything. But there's always the possibility that I might publish an article that happens to get seen by somebody in Iran or China or Russia that doesn't like it, and then could, it's not going to happen to me, but it could happen to somebody else.
They couldn't do anything to you personally.
No.
What they could do is censor the site
exactly
in some way.
Yes,
but they couldn't go after you because you're an American citizen in America.
They would go
now, if you were an American citizen in Iran, for instance,
that would be a totally different story. Matter. And
totally different story. Yeah, those guys get kidnapped and held for ransom all the time.
Yeah, not cool.
No, not cool at all.
So yeah, that is a concern. It's a huge concern. So I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm with you. I'm surprised only 4 states stepped up and said that this is a problem. Our states really have lost a lot of, over the generations, have really lost a lot of
sovereignty.
Exactly. Just the balls to stand up and say, "Wait a minute."
No, sovereignty is power. I mean, it's a whole 10th Amendment argument that which is not reserved to do by the federal government should be done by the states. Yeah. The federal government does far too much. Considering our national debt, the U.S. government does far too much.
Agreed.
We're approaching, or we've already breached 20 trillion.
Delving into topics but keep an eye on this, folks, along with the other stuff that happens. This is tech related, this is internet related, and this is free speech related. The internet is sacrosanct, and it has been since its inception.
In America, at least.
In America, and in a lot of other Western countries, and it's slowly
that have free speech.
Yes. It's slowly losing its own sovereignty. The internet is slowly losing its ability to maintain that freedom, because it's such an amorphous thing. Nobody owns it, and nobody controls it really. So it's a double-edged sword. We have a lot of freedom on the internet. We have a lot of control of our own sites and spaces. But
as Americans,
and even people in Britain and Canada.
I'm saying that Canada and Britain don't have the strong First Amendment protections we do. Their free speech protections are very amorphous, related to hate speech, and you can say something nasty on the internet and get fucking prosecuted for it.
And it's disgusting. And that's where the internet is slowly losing its sovereignty in cases like that. And
freedom, we're losing the freedom. Sovereignty is a different other definition.
its own separate power, but its own separate.
Yeah. The great thing about the internet is you're allowed to pretty much do anything.
Right.
Within normal means.
Yep.
I mean, outside of going on the deep dark web and trying to arrange a person's assassination, you're pretty much okay to do almost anything on the internet. And you won't get the ire of anybody in the United States. Yeah. That's the good thing about it. It's wild west.
Right.
You do pretty much anything you want, and it's good. That's nice.
Right.
There's a niche interest everywhere. People can find other like-minded people and enjoy company. Somebody all the way around on the other side of the fucking world, you can talk to them about the most recent episode of The Flash.
Right. Yeah, so hopefully this is nothing. Hopefully this is a molehill rather than a mountain, but these are just these little things that are being chipped away at what we have, and so
it's not going to affect content. That's important. It's not going to affect content. But domain names can have a problem if there's the ability to limit the things that are available. If they start limiting what you can have in your title. Yeah. For instance, you have beer in your title.
Yeah.
If, for instance, some place like Iran, which is an Islamic republic, they don't like alcohol.
Yeah.
They go, "Oh, you tried to do that?" They say no to it.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
Yep, exactly. And they could either they'll limit my site, which I'm sure a site like mine couldn't be hit from a standard user in Iran anyway. But they could then go after the domain and say, well, it can't even be named that.
That'd be a badge of honor.
Yeah,
blocked by the Iranian government.
Yeah, that'd be something interesting. Banned by a whole country. So yeah, that's that. Keep an eye on that, folks. Keep up the good fight, keeping the internet free for everybody. And
I don't know how the transition process is going to work. I don't know if it fully happened on Friday, or is it just started the process. I don't know. I don't even know how much authority that body has.
Yeah.
It's really up in the air right now. We probably won't know more for another month or
With
so.
as slow as government works, who knows?
Especially international government.
Yeah.
Because that requires multitudinous countries agreeing on something.
Oh, yeah. And that takes so long. So, in another continuing story, which I guess we sort of predicted this when we talked about it before. And if you guys haven't read this on Forbes.com, it's actually all over the gaming sites, but I grabbed Forbes because it was one of the few sites that isn't the gaming sites I don't read. Because the first article that popped up was Polygon, and they can go lick a nut.
Pretty much IGN is the only gaming site that's a gaming site.
They're mostly okay. I've had a couple issues, but not like I've had with some of the other sites.
Yeah,
so.
There's some small ones, just like Niche Gamer, which I check out occasionally.
Yep.
But dedicated gaming site, IGN's the only one I ever go to anymore.
Yeah, you just got to be so careful. So I grabbed this off of Forbes.com. Article came out on the 29th. No Man's Sky is now under investigation for misleading advertising. I mean, this wouldn't have happened. Nobody investigates a video game unless there's actually something there. Like, all the people who think that No Man's Sky was fine or what they said was okay or shouldn't have been. I mean, this hasn't, let's see, when did the last time they said this happened was 2 years ago with Dungeon Keeper because of the way they were talking about the ads and the paywall and all the other shit. And then before
they're being investigated by the UK Advertising Standards Authority.
Yes.
Okay. I thought they were going to be investigated by something like the SEC or something.
Oh no, but this could lead to that. We know the SEC. Our country is a little more lenient on stuff like this.
We don't prosecute false advertising that often in the United States.
Because
because of a law in the 90s
and
that allowed. Yeah.
It's really hard to prove it. Like, it's really hard to prove that it wasn't just, a trick of advertising. Like, it's really hard to prove false advertising.
For you wonks out there, in the early 90s, a law was passed that allowed that as long as one scientist said something was true, advertisers could say it's true in their advertisements. So that's why in the 90s, that's when all the cereal boxes came out saying that it lowers your cholesterol.
Right.
That was when that started happening.
Yeah.
May lower your cholesterol.
So, some of that has been recanted or changed at least. Now the wording has to be very specific, and that's why it's
May
right
with a proper diet and exercise.
Yep, exactly. So they're being investigated by the UK's version of the SEC, and I think it's a good thing. If they don't find anything, great. If they determine that these guys are just shady, okay. But if they really did mislead people who spent quite a bit of money on this game, then they really should have to answer for it, because game companies, too often we are not necessarily misled, but sometimes game companies, they hedge that line. They walk that fine line between false advertising and just fancy wording. And so they really should be. They should be an example if it's found that these guys did mislead consumers, because at the end of the day, the consumer, I mean, that's what we are. We buy this stuff, we give them our hard-earned money, and in the case of video games, you generally can't return them. Here you could under certain circumstances, but if you go to the store,
as long as you do it quickly enough, as long as you do it.
Yeah.
And an easy way, if you want to get an easy way around it, if it breaks,
right? Yeah.
If you don't get it digitally, if you get it physically,
exactly.
If it breaks, you can return it.
Exactly.
So if you really want to return it,
break that disc.
Break it.
Yeah.
Make it look like it broke accidentally.
You could do that, definitely. So that's.
But most digital sales being what they are, you can't really return digital sales.
No, not unless you're quick. Hopefully this will either A, put the story to bed. Once this goes through, it will either determine, hey, they didn't really mislead anybody. They just made some stupid comments, put it to bed, or it will be make an example of companies that do this and hopefully produce better marketing and better consumer developer relations going forward. That's what I'm hoping to get out of this. I'm not expecting one thing or the other. I just hope that it settles. Whatever happens settles the
Well, it might not affect American consumers. I mean, what production studio made it? Are they an American company? A British company? What are they?
I think they're an American company. I have to remember.
So it's possible they can just if a British company puts an edict down, they might not even fucking care. They might not even address it because they're not. It's what happens. It's like what happened when the European Union tried to sue Microsoft for like $10 billion or something ridiculous amount of money.
Well,
Microsoft just ignored it because Microsoft has absolutely no reason to listen.
Right.
They don't have to.
They can try to ignore it, but if this company makes a ruling that if this organization makes a ruling, I don't think it matters. This company's not as big as Microsoft either. The developer, No Man's Sky was developed on a Kickstarter as far as I remember. This is a very small company. I think this is their first game, and I cannot bring their name to mind. I wish I could. They're not even in the article. I don't even see the name of the developer in the article. So I don't know. Nothing may come of it. I just think that it's an interesting continuation of previous stories, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it at least brings some visibility to the relationship between publishers and consumers, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more transparency and people being a little more honest. I guess that's what I'm hoping for anyway. I want people to be more honest.
By the way, are you a fan of or have heard or have any experience with FNAF or Five Nights at Freddy's?
I have not played any of those, no. Yeah.
The thing with it is that it's getting a movie.
Really?
And they're making it into a movie. The movie rights were sold last year. Another game is coming out this month. I think actually Friday.
Gotcha.
And it's getting merchandise out the shit. It's the new Minecraft as far as merchandise and movie rights are.
So there you go.
They've got Pop by Funkos. They've got action figures. They've got coloring books. I remind you, this is a horror video game.
Right. Hey, if you like.
Why are you getting your kid a coloring book?
Hey, I know adults who like to color now. Which says
the Safe Space Society.
No,
and there's also
actually not necessarily, and I'm gonna stop you right there because my wife and I are working on a fold out. We have this. It's almost a poster size fold out color. It's not a coloring book because it's one fold out sheet.
Because it's not a coloring book. That's like that. That's a different. I would say that's different.
But I have seen the adult coloring books too, and their original intent was to give, because there's a lot of art. There's a lot of art types out there now, and I can't think of. There's one out there where you just draw symmetrical designs on these small tiles, and it's a very what it is it's a very repetitive thing that you don't have to think much about, it's very relaxing. It's like
there's also sketchbooks. There's also sketchbooks where you trace.
Yeah.
Where you trace to learn how to make things.
Yeah.
Those are not, but I wouldn't call that a color book. There's also tons of board games.
Yeah.
There's a ridiculous number of there's at least, let's see here. There's at least 3 FNAF board games, and there's costumes, clothing, plushes, blind bags with mini things. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of stuff. This thing it's getting saturation level amounts of stuff. And it's kind of crazy when you think, it's construction set.
Gotcha.
You can get a Five Nights at Freddy construction set.
Yeah.
That's like things from the game. Also, for some reason, they have Lego. They have Lego costumes.
Yeah.
Where you can look like a Lego person.
Right.
Why? The things that people make.
Yeah.
Why?
So before we jump into the and so that's, if you guys like Five Nights at Freddy's, there you go. There's some new stuff coming. Lots of stuff. I mean, they're fans of it. You want to go out and get you some?
I have action figures because they're cool.
But
the action figures are really cool.
We do have some new show. Actually, we have some returning shows. There are 3 returning shows that I wanted to talk about before we talk about Luke Cage.
Flash premieres tonight. It's actually on right now.
Oh yes, tons of stuff coming out.
Arrow tomorrow. Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow next week.
Yep.
Supernatural is either this week or next week.
Yep. Timeless was last night. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but that looked really cool.
Yeah, the black guy was in a couple of comedies that small parts, and I saw his face. I'm like, I've seen that guy before. And I found out he was killed in an episode of Monk. He got thrown out a window.
So we've been enjoying that. Surprisingly enough, and I know a lot of people haven't been, but for the cheesy ass fun of it, I have actually so far been enjoying MacGyver and Lethal Weapon. And I'm going to say very specifically, these are cheesy ass shows. And I think they're meant to be, which is what makes them enjoyable, because sometimes you get a cheesy show that takes itself seriously, like when they tried to reboot Knight Rider. That was a cheesy ass show, but
that happened.
Oh yeah,
that happened.
And it was awful.
That actually went through.
Yes.
Okay,
and it was awful because it was a cheesy show that took itself seriously, and it was terrible. But MacGyver and Lethal Weapon are not. They're not. They're like out there saying, "Yeah, we're remakes of really bad." Like they are bad, but they're entertaining and they don't take themselves seriously. So
where's the Chips remake?
Yeah, I know. Like that would be awesome. But the other
that'll probably be a movie starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson in like 3 years.
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. But there are 3 returning shows that I wanted to talk about because for 3 different reasons, or for actually 2 different reasons. 2 of them have come back and actually, to me, better than before. Fear the Walking Dead had a very slow start, a very slow first season, and a pretty slow. We're in the second season right now, aren't we?
And their screenwriters were fucking stupid. The people who wrote the plot of the first season, idiots.
was so hit. Like, I watched it because I wanted to know what happened, but I didn't need to know what happened. It really wasn't that good. This season,
the dumbest thing about it is that there's that stadium filled with zombies right next to an army base.
Yeah.
Why in God's name would the military, after killing a bunch of they would just go house to house and kill people?
Yep.
Why in God's name would they leave a stadium? But all it would take is a helicopter, which they had plenty of, and a couple of Molotov cocktails, and throw it into the stadium.
Right.
That's all they'd have to do to kill all of these zombies. Why would they leave them alive? And especially just leaving the exit to it chained. Right. Not like sheet metaled, soldered on. No, we put a chain on it, and that's all we did to keep those things in bay. No sense.
So this season has actually felt like The Walking Dead. I have to say,
I stopped watching it after they got the girl back. That's when I stopped watching.
Yeah. A lot of people stopped watching it, and we almost stopped watching it too, but I'm glad we did because, like I said, this season, which ended this past Sunday, was good. It was tense. The story was good. I started to care about the characters. I wanted to know what was going to happen to them. Like, the whole first season, I didn't give a damn about any of the characters in the show.
Except Strand. Strand was the only good one.
But I still didn't. I didn't know him well enough to give a damn about him. He was just kind of.
Well, he didn't come in until like the last episode of the season.
So you didn't really care.
And the musician guy, the guy who owned the barbershop, who's actually a musician in real life, he's also fun.
Yeah. So
they're the only complex characters. The other guys are all one-note characters.
Right. But this season, they've actually did a really good job. So I'd say give it a shot to anybody who maybe gave up or wasn't sure, hasn't watched this latest season. Give it a shot. I think they did a lot better job with this latest season. And then 2 shows that one has come back and one is coming back that I think. I watched the first episode of the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I know, Russell, you didn't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I found out they brought back Absorbing Man last season, so I might catch up on it, because I loved Absorbing Man.
Yeah,
and
last season was decent. It wasn't the best. It was good. It was better than some of the other seasons. This season so far, impressive.
Did they bring back Graviton yet? Have they used Graviton yet?
No, we've only had one episode that I've seen. There's an episode tonight, episode 2.
No, I'm saying Graviton. He was in one episode in the first season. A guy falls into this amorphous metal blob thing. Yeah. At the end of this, you see a hand come out of it. Has that guy come back yet?
No, not that I've seen.
God. What are they waiting to bring him back for? I mean, seriously.
But we're only in the first episode of the season. So, but this season is subtitled Ghost Rider, which kind of worried me at first. How are you going to put Ghost Rider in a TV show with a low budget?
Because they picked the third iteration or the fourth iteration of it, the one that uses a sports car.
But that wasn't what I was worried about. I was worried about how they're going to do the Flaming Skull. How are they going to do it all? They actually did a great job with the effects. I was worried that they would either try to do the effects so they would look like crap, or they wouldn't do the effects at all, and it would come off like it would just come off like a cheap, imitation Ghost Rider. But they did the Flaming Skull. It looks good. The flames look good. The flames on the car look good. And so far, like, we're only in the first episode, so I can't really comment on the story. The first episode was good. I don't know yet about the overarching story. I don't know how that's going to be yet, but so far, so good.
They knew they had to. They knew they had to improve it. They're finally taking the criticism that people have been making for the last 4 years with it, saying, "Hey, you have all these toys in the toy box that you're not using.
Right.
Use them."
Yeah, and I think, and the nice thing about using Ghost Rider in this one is because he sort of hovers the line between good guy and bad guy.
This one at least, because he's not. It's not like he didn't make a deal with the devil.
Oh yeah,
he did. He just has a vengeful spirit in his body.
He did,
which is actually in the comic books. It was like his uncle, who was a serial killer.
Right.
So
there's
that.
In this iteration, he sold his soul to the devil to save.
Oh, so they decided. Okay, so they decided to avoid that problem.
Right.
Because in the comic books, from what I read, in the comic books, that guy is essentially Dexter. He kills people to sate his vengeance thing.
Yeah.
The soul taking over. But he only kills bad people.
Yeah.
It's like he's basically Dexter.
In this one, in Ghost Rider's always been he only goes after bad people, but he does it in a bad way. He goes and just outright kills people. So that's where he kind of...
Yeah, because he has the penance stare, which is one of my favorite superpowers. This is fun.
So this allows them to, like, some of the characters on the show think Ghost Rider's a bad guy, and some of them realize he's not really a bad... So it allows them to play that line and in a way make him sort of the villain of the show, but not the main villain. Which
he certainly looks like it. He has a marketing problem. He looks like
he looks like a total bad guy. Flaming Skull, how can he not be a bad guy?
Yeah.
And then the show coming back this week, I think it's this week, Supergirl comes back this week.
No, it comes back Monday of next week.
Next Monday. Has me really worried. And now we stopped. Now I have to say, my wife and I stopped watching Supergirl partway through. We just didn't care anymore partway through.
As did I. I stopped I think I stopped the episode before they revealed that the guy running the place is John.
Yeah.
We saw that I saw the red eyes, I think the Live Wire was the last episode I watched.
Yeah, I just didn't care anymore. It just wasn't him. And this season, when they talked about bringing it first, they talked about bringing back Superman, and I'm like, well, let's get the guy from Smallville to play Superman. Well, they didn't do that. They got some guy that looks like I don't know, he looks like some greaser from the Bronx. With a 5 o'clock shadow playing.
It's always going to be some beefcake. It's always going to be that. They're always going to. They're not gonna cast a schlubby or a lanky guy. It's got to be a guy with muscles who looks good.
It does, but he's also. Superman has always been the quintessential small town. He always looked like a small town guy next door, who just happens to be big and buff and good looking.
This guy doesn't look as buff as the other one. So he has that going for him at least. He's not.
Yeah, and he
doesn't look.
He looks kind of skeezy. He looks like a used car salesman.
We haven't seen him in action yet, but I'm not gonna watch Supergirl.
No,
I don't care. I don't like the character.
What worries me about this, I saw a teaser the other night though, and the only thing I heard it out of the back of my thing. There was a news report talking about Superman did something, blah blah blah, and Supergirl was standing there, or actually Kara was sitting, because she wasn't dressed up, so she's sitting there as her normal self, watching this news report and going, but Supergirl was there too, which. Makes me worry that they're going to make this whole season about Supergirl playing second fiddle and being bitter about it.
It'll probably though that'll be an arc probably for the first few episodes.
And I hate that because I was hopeful for this show because I wanted them to deliver. I was glad that they left Superman kind of in the shadows for the whole first season. He talked to her through a couple of emails and he was there once, but you never see his face. I wanted them to keep doing that because I wanted them to sell Supergirl on her own merits. it's a show about Supergirl, so let's make it a show about Supergirl, not about Superman's cousin who happens to be in the title of the show, which that is what I'm afraid this next season is going to turn into. I hope not, but I'm afraid, because I was hopeful when they moved it to the CW with the other DC shows that the writing might get better and that the character dynamics might get better.
Which shouldn't have been your clue at all, because here's the thing. CBS has a higher budget than CW.
True.
So thinking writing would get better when it goes to a network with less production value.
But the other DC shows are better than Supergirl, right?
Because they wanted to. You know how this show could have been significantly better if they decided not to do Supergirl and they did another female superhero that's like Supergirl, Power Girl. They did Power Girl. Yeah, because there's the sexism thing, and then she has to own it. I mean, the thing there is because men like Power Girl, love Power Girl. Women are okay on it. But Power Girl is something that we really like because she's hot as hell. It's why men like. And there would have been a lot more storylines. Supergirl doesn't have many storylines outside of trying to get out of Superman's shadow. No. That's the only seeming plot line they have for Supergirl.
Right.
And they seem to falling back on it in the second season. Yeah. She's going to be even more in his shadow.
Right.
So
and I don't like that.
It would be like doing it would be like Nintendo decides to do a television show and they decide to make it about Luigi.
Right.
It's essentially what they're doing here. I mean, because Supergirl, because she's called Supergirl, she's not her own person because she's named after. She's Superman. Her name has it in the title, right. So that's the problem with the character. They could have picked any female superhero that had her own thing that they could have let them use. Yeah. So, like they could have done Raven, for instance.
Yeah.
You think any idea how good a Raven TV show would have been? And then it could have set up a Teen Titans show.
Yeah.
That could have been awesome. Because it would have been really dark as shit.
Which they could still do. I mean, especially in an.
Oh yeah, they were supposed to do one on I think TNT. They were trying to do a Teen Titans show.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere. Oh. But that's the thing. It would be perfect. Yeah. It would be a Teen Titans show would work. Because there's so many. There's Starfire. There's Raven. There's Robin, whichever one. Probably Dick Grayson. There's Cyborg. There's Beast Boy.
Right.
It's a good. And I loved it. Did you ever watch the Teen Titans show?
When my
the animated
watched
one.
It, yeah.
Which one? The Go one or the earlier one?
I don't know which one.
Was Ron Perlman the voice of Slade?
I didn't watch it that closely.
Yeah, okay, was the animation more like the animated series, or did it look like Chibis?
I don't know. I watched it when I was doing other things, and my son was watching.
Teen Titans Go is got all the voice actors from it, but it's more cartoonish. Yeah. It's like it's a lot more style. It's much more like chibi-like. But the original Teen Titans animated show from the early 2000s was fantastic. Yeah. One of the best DC animated universe shows. Cool. I don't even know it was technically in the animated universe. Might not have been.
Right.
I loved that show, and they could easily do that in live action. Honestly, they could just bring that show back, and I would watch the fuck out of it because it's a really good show. Or they just bring back Young Justice, whichever they decide to do, because those are both fantastic.
Right.
But yeah, the issue here with Supergirl is that it's not in the same universe as the Arrowverse. It's not in the same Earth.
Right.
So we don't know. Is it Earth 3? Is that been discovered yet? Is it Earth 3?
I don't.
Or is it Earth 2?
I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to DC to know. I just know that all the shows are going to be on the same network.
Yeah, we know Jay Garrick's coming back in the next season of The Flash. They're bringing back Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
Which is good because I like that version of the Flash. I think he looks cool. I like the Hermes helmet. Mm-hmm. Arrow looks to be good this season. They're bringing back a more. The enemy is interesting. Unfortunately, they're going for another speedster on the Flash for some reason.
A
third time.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with it. They can't see the thing. Arrow, for all its problems, each season the villain's different. I mean. It was a Tesla earthquake machine, then Slade, Deathstroke. Then it was the third season. The villain was Ra's al Ghul, and then it was Damien Dark. They have this ability to use varying types of enemies. I don't know why they have to do with another speedster again.
I don't know. That's the one thing I never did get into Flash or any of that. It just didn't strike me as interesting enough, I guess. Oh, we just lost Russell. We're gonna call him back. Gotta love that Skype, don't we?
Yeah. Somebody called me, that's why.
Oh, somebody interrupting our show. Curse them.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyway, to talk about a very interesting superhero, we're going to do a Luke Cage special next week.
Yes.
So any of you guys
Frankie,
watching,
he's available.
yes, we're going to try to get Cranky on again, or we're going to get somebody that has seen the show to talk about the show. From what I hear, Cranky didn't much like the show, so it's going to be a good mix of opinions about the show and everything. But we're going to try not to spoil anything tonight. We just want to give you our first impressions because I haven't seen the whole thing yet. Russell's seen it all. But right out of the gate, if you have not seen Luke Cage yet, I know a few people still haven't seen it. Definitely get to see it as soon as you can. There are two things that stood out about Luke Cage that really stand out to me anyway. I like the balance in the politics. It's not a very political show.
Very subtle politics. They get a little heavy-handed near the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'll say that much. But it doesn't distract from the fact that they try to be very balanced with the politics.
It does seem so.
They don't try to be overly one-sided.
Right. I mean, they go into the characters discuss. I mean, they do discuss minority relations with police, minority relations with other communities. They discuss.
The hoodie was a Trayvon Martin was a explicit reference to Trayvon Martin.
Oh, and
why he's wearing a hoodie.
That's his thing. I mean, we get into the lead. Not liking the N-word, so they work that into his character. Damn it. We lost Russell again. Let's see if we can get him back this time. And he might have had to take that call this time. Let's give him a second here, guys. Sorry about that. Here we go. He's calling me back. We got you?
I don't know what happened there.
All right. So anyway, like we were talking about, the lead, doesn't like the N-word, so they work that into the character that Luke Cage doesn't like it. But Luke Cage also talks about, they talk about family values, kids growing up with no fathers, and it being a hard thing for them, growing up in an impoverished area, which not all of Harlem is. And what I liked
in this universe, it is just like Hell's Kitchen is what it was.
But no, even in this universe, it's. I mean, the councilwoman lives in a very nice building, and she's got a lot of money.
Brownstone. The point I was trying to make is that what I'm saying is Daredevil, when it first came out, Hell's Kitchen was hell.
Yeah.
But gentrification has made Hell's Kitchen a significantly better place to live. So they used the incident as onus to make Hell's Kitchen what it was like when Daredevil first premiered in the 60s.
Right. and I like how they incorporated all of that. It's not just browbeating one group of people for mistakes or browbeating one group of people for the way they look at another group of people. It is a very well-rounded show when it comes to dealing with all of the different issues that any community has to deal with. And so I liked that, and I liked that they did not go down the route which I was worried that they might, but I wasn't too worried because so far Netflix has been really, really fantastic when it comes to doing their shows and their writing.
Marvel is usually really good with this. Disney wouldn't. Disney doesn't like to leave money on the table.
Right.
They wouldn't purposely try to alienate a massive part.
Exactly, and that's one of the and I'm hoping that it's not just because Disney said no, you can't do this. I'm hoping it's because the writers wanted a very broad view of the world brought into this show, and I know some people didn't like it because some people wanted a very specific set of politics or a very specific set of ideals pushed in this show. But I like that a lot of different ideas are pushed, and what I really liked about that, because of the broad politics, they could have gone the really easy route and made the corrupt politicians white. Or they could have made the really rich bad people white. Or they could have made all the cops white. And they could have really pushed this very black and white, us versus them theme to the show, and they didn't.
It wouldn't have made sense because it's Harlem.
It wouldn't have made sense, but a lot of people they write stories and they make shows that don't make sense because they want to make a point.
A designated survivor, which everyone is crapping on for being absolutely ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, like some people want to make a point, so rather than write something that's logical or write something that makes sense, they write something that's completely illogical just to shove their point home. And in this case, like I said, the corrupt politicians are black politicians, and some of the bad cops are white, some of the bad cops are black.
We only meet like 3 or 4 cops in the. There's a couple side cops, but the only ones that we remember by name. There's only 3.
Right, the only ones that have speaking lines, right?
No, that are in it for more than 20 seconds.
Yeah,
we got Misty Knight, her partner, and 2 people that are above her pay grade.
Yeah,
that's all we get.
So I was happy to see that. I was glad that they did not go the lazy route and just make it like I said, an us versus them sort of. They made it a very, very good mix of people and ideology and politics and themes and ideas. So I loved that about it. And I also liked that, and I know some people have criticized the show for not having enough fight scenes, but he's
not a trained fighter. That's what they need to. Technically he had fighting in Seagate,
that's not why to me I don't think that's why they didn't do it. Because you don't have to be, when you're Luke Cage, you don't have to be a trained fighter. You have super strength, impervious skin, and you heal very quickly. You don't have to be able to throw a very precise punch to knock somebody through a wall when you hit them like a Mack truck.
He's got to pull his punches. That's what he has to do.
Right. He has to be,
He's against murder.
He's against murder. But also, I like that this show has decided, because every other show is here's how powerful Superman is. He can destroy buildings by throwing people through them. Here's how powerful Thor is, or the Hulk is, and to show us how powerful those characters are, the creators and these writers and everything blow things up and destroy things and have these huge fight scenes to just show you just how powerful they are. They don't need to do that with Luke Cage. We know how powerful.
That one scene, though, I think in the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
The scene that was in the trailers.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
He has a few very specific and very necessary fight scenes in the season so far that I've seen. None of them seem gratuitous. He doesn't throw people through walls just to throw somebody through a wall. In a lot of cases,
somebody through a wall would probably kill them, so he doesn't do that.
Right, and
he picks up things that probably won't kill them, like he picks up a couch or something.
Yes, and when he could
pick up like a giant sled, he doesn't pick up like a piece of concrete with rebar on it and smack somebody.
Right, or when he could walk up to a group of thugs that are standing around, these gangsters standing around, and beat the crap out of them, and he doesn't. He just walks up and says, "Hi, do you guys want to fight or not?" And they obviously don't, because they've seen what he can do, and they run away.
He can cave their chest in with one punch.
Yeah, so
he punches them hard enough in the chest, their chest will cave in.
I like
kill somebody really quickly.
I like that they've done that. I like that instead of going again the lazy route and showing us how powerful he is by just having him knock things down and blow things up, his power is in his presence. His power is in his restraint. His power is in his ability to think things through rather than punch things through. We know he can. We know he can kick everybody's ass, so he doesn't have to. He doesn't.
By the way,
go ahead.
He's Unbreakable Skin. Mm-hmm. Can he be shot through the eyeball?
I think his eye is too, but I'm not sure if they've gone over that.
If you remember from Jessica Jones, they did like a pressure thing through like between his eyeball and his socket. Remember?
Yeah, because they had to get back behind it. Yeah.
relieve pressure to his brain.
Yes.
He had, like, it was either an aneurysm or something, because he took a shotgun,
Right.
point-blank shotgun goes to, like, the chin.
Yes, which would have caused a concussion. I mean, it would have made his brain bounce around in his head and caused a concussion.
Yeah.
Because as far as I understand, the science behind Luke Cage.
Still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, kind of lost you there for a second.
Yeah, like I say, as much as I understand the quote unquote science behind the way he works is he has impervious skin, but his internal organs and everything are not. So he.
Well, it would seem that his internal organs are also very similarly constructed. It seems like, because if his internal organs weren't that way, a bullet to the skin would rupture organs.
Well, depending on how, but his skin, there's probably something about his skin stopping shock waves and things like that, which makes him. But if his head snaps back hard enough, it's going to bounce his head off the back of his skull and give him a concussion.
It seems his brain might not be fully like that. But I'm trying to figure out without spoiling. Did him and Claire have a meet cute yet? At the point that you're in the show series.
Have a what?
Has him and Claire reunited yet?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just trying to establish when. I think you're an episode or two away from the events that lead to. Yeah, they talk about his molecular construction beyond his skin in a later episode. I don't know if you've reached that point.
No, I haven't gotten where they break it down yet. But like I said, the enhanced healing is what allows him to repair the damage, like his concussion from the shotgun blast.
He has enhanced healing. It would also appear that his organs are similar to his skin. So the point being that it means they can take damage. Because seriously, if he kept taking shots to the body from bullets, his organs would rupture from the force.
And that very well could be. I haven't gotten that far that they've talked about it yet.
Yeah. But it was a point blank shotgun blast would probably be significantly more force than a shot.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking concussion. Even if you were wearing a helmet that could keep you from actually getting hit by the shells, you would still probably, just the force of the blast knocking your head back would be enough to bounce your brain off the back of your skull, which
probably pop an eyeball out.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of force. So yeah, in conjunction with that though, of course, so we've got a good show. Both of us like it. We're gonna really break it down next week. It is a good show. And rather than
honestly, my favorite Marvel show so far.
And I'm putting it number 2 right now. I haven't finished it yet, so I haven't.
Who do you think? What do you think?
I think Daredevil was season 2 was better.
See, this is a weird thing. Cranky, I was talking to Cranky earlier today. Yeah. He said he likes Jessica Jones more than.
Yeah, I didn't.
So, honestly, what I would say why it's so good is the music is absolutely fantastic. Of the 3 series, it has by far the best soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's the thing when one of the villains runs a nightclub.
Yeah.
You're just it's just by nature.
Oh, it does.
That one scene where I forget his name. It's Charles something. Sings "Ain't It a Sin."
Yeah.
And it's just such a good. Him dancing on stage,
right?
Doing the like, and then it intersperses with another scene. So good.
Oh yeah.
So brilliant.
The cinematography is great. The writing is really good. The actors are great, and that's the unfortunate part about what this next story we're going to talk about real quick before we go is. We've got a great show, which should be celebrated as a great show for a multitude of reasons. You've got a really good show. You've got a lot
of people like it though. This is a vocal. This might be a minority. It may be a vocal minority, but I was on Netflix, especially because it went down Saturday night.
Yeah.
It went down for like 2 hours. 3 and 5 and 6.
Yep.
And everybody was like, Where's Luke Cage? I need to watch Luke Cage.
Right.
It's so good. And everybody was, and after I finished watching it the next day, Sunday, because I finished it like almost 5 a.m.
Right.
On Sunday, and went to sleep. And everybody was talking about it and saying it's such an amazing show. And I had conversations with a bunch of people about how great the show is.
It's almost universally liked. Of course, there is always going to be some people that don't like a certain show. Like Game of Thrones is almost universally liked. There are still people that don't like Game of Thrones.
The prudes don't like it.
There are going to be people who don't like the show, obviously. Not everything is for everybody. But what we do have is we have a great show. It should be celebrated for being a great show and being a great comic book show. It is a great, diverse show. It is a great show with a lead black actor, black actresses, a diverse cast, not just black. You've got Hispanic people. You've got Theo Rossi is awesome in this from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
Love
I am
him
very
in this.
surprised, and you'll be surprised to hear this. Somehow, somewhere, they couldn't get Corey Hart's song "Sunglasses at Night" to happen.
They should have. I mean, you've got.
He wears his sunglasses everywhere.
And instead of celebrating this show for what it is, because it really is probably going to go down as one of the most successful shows with such a diverse cast. Instead of celebrating it,
politics.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not even going to get into that one. We can talk about that one next week. I'm going to talk about the manufactured outrage that started coming out. BET started it, and a couple other places started it. They're talking about how white people don't like this show because Luke Cage is so black, and that the hate is racially motivated.
Oh, are you kidding me?
That's what they put out there.
I didn't even hear about that. I read the Heat Street article.
The fake racism. BET absolutely gets so the headline at Heat Street is fake racism. BET gets absolutely trolled about Luke Cage.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other one.
No,
it was a Heat Street article that came out. I think it was Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah,
they were criticizing it for respectability politics.
No,
respectability politics is a concept that basically says it's assimilation versus tolerance.
Right.
It's every society that comes to the United States, we're a melting pot. You have to assimilate to a certain degree. You can't be completely isolated.
Right.
But you need to tolerate, cultural sensitivities from those people.
Right.
That's just the argument. The thing they're trying to make is that they think that Luke Cage is too wanting to fit in. Apparently. Yeah. That's the argument they're making. When really the argument he's making is, I don't want to be a piece of shit.
Right.
He doesn't want to be a thug. He doesn't want to be a thug. That's basically
he wants to be a good example, and he doesn't care who he's an example for, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing about that character. He wants to be a good example for young black children in his community, but he also doesn't care if he's a good example for young white children. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But no, this article I'm talking about is about 5 or 6 trolls on Twitter, and we all know how, and actually I know a couple of them from interactions on Twitter, made some obviously stupid jokes about Luke Cage about the show being racist. And of course, these guys are playing off of the outrage over, like, most recently, oh shoot, now I'm going to forget his name.
There's a lot of movies. Birth of a Nation?
No, the guy who always makes movies with Johnny Depp.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Mrs. Whatever.
Yeah. So
Eva Green's X-Men.
Right. So there was a lot of outrage because the show is all white, and everybody threw a fit about Tim Burton. So,
except Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. So these trolls on Twitter are obviously making the correlation to, look how black the Luke Cage show is. Isn't it racist? Because a lot of people said, look how white Tim Burton's movie is. Isn't it racist?
In Harlem.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. These people are making stupid jokes. Like, these people are. You can tell, you read these tweets and you're like, they're being trolls.
Get people angry.
Yeah.
Trolls.
And
was Luke Cage from Harlem in the comic books?
I'd have to look that. I think so.
He's from Georgia. He's a
his origin is changed in the show because he was not a cop.
They made him Southern.
He was not a cop also in the comic book.
What was he in the comic books?
He was a criminal. He started out as a gang member.
And then he went good, right?
He decided he didn't want to go down that path, and he tried to change his life, and then he got framed.
His best friend liked the same girl, and his friend went into drugs and being a drug dealer.
Right.
So he framed him, and he went to jail.
Yeah, exactly. So the origin is different in the show from the comic books, but it's not.
But he still went to jail by the same guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the BET took the bait, and a couple other sites took the bait and went, look, white people hate Luke Cage. No, guys, seriously, for fuck's sake, white people do not hate Luke Cage. Like, this show, people love this show.
It's probably got the most crossover appeal of any.
Oh my God, celebrate this! Like, for God's sake, people have been begging for something like this for a long time, and I get it.
They've been wanting to bring in the urban demographic, the wider urban demographic into the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a long time.
Yes,
and this show does it,
and it
doesn't alienate the core fan base.
It does it well. Yeah, like this is a success story.
White Buffalo. It's a white buffalo.
It is. It's
a rare thing.
It's
a rare beast.
It is, and it's a successful show. I mean, It is not a comic book that is being put out just to appeal to one demographic. It's not a comic book that's being put out by a writer who just wants to snub other
Not like
people.
that Black Panther series we're getting,
Yeah.
if it already hasn't. The Denise Coates, whatever. Denise Coates? Yeah.
I don't know.
That one's going to be really controversial.
It could be.
That guy's writings are very controversial.
Yeah.
But this Luke Cage show, it has something for everybody. In the later parts of it, and I don't know if you've encountered it yet. I don't know if you've gotten to it yet. They get into he's been referenced, but has Diamondback shown up at the point that you've just for people to know, Luke Cage's first antagonist in the comic books was Will Stryker, or something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
With a Y. He went by the name Diamondback when he became like a mafioso thug type.
Yeah.
And he's referenced in the early parts of the season, and he comes in later. He's been, you remember him being referenced, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Shades mentions him in like the first couple of
seconds when
he's on screen. He says, yeah, Diamondback's concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you gotten to the point where Diamondback has shown up yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gotten him. Yeah. So yeah, Diamondback in the comic books is the one who frames Luke Cage and sends him to prison. So him coming back, and really good interplay they're going with the season so far.
Right.
I really like Cottonmouth's character. I really like Black Mariah's character.
Yeah. I like all the characters.
Really good.
Yep.
Yeah, they're all the main
and
actors are all really good.
And from what I read, she is actually going to be in Defenders.
She would have to be. When I'm looking at it, it's got to be a supervillain team up of all the people in the series. So it's got to be Kingpin. It's got to be. I don't know who they're gonna do for Jessica Jones, honestly, because the only Nuke, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
yeah, he'll probably be the one that comes in for season 2.
He's the only villain from Jessica Jones that's still alive.
Right.
Unless they somehow bring Kilgrave back.
Yeah.
Somehow.
That won't happen.
Which is always a possibility. I mean, remember we got
True.
We got fucking Doctor Strange happening.
Yeah.
Mysticism and shit. And maybe he comes back and there's something happens wrong in the revitalization.
Yep.
And he becomes real. He becomes Purple Man.
Of course, that's possible. So anyway, yeah.
I would love, by the way. That would be awesome.
That's the thing. What we got to do is point and laugh at these idiots. This show is awesome. People love this show. We should be celebrating this show for a multitude of reasons.
The soundtrack comes out Friday. I don't know why they're waiting so long, but the soundtrack comes out Friday, and I'm going to buy it the second I can.
So, yeah. So that, as I said, we just gotta laugh at these people that are it's manufactured outrage. It's trying to create something out of nothing, trying to create something that just isn't there. Of course, there probably are people out there that don't like the show because of how many black people are in it. Who cares about them? They're a minority. They're like a very small minority.
Vast minority.
Because people love this show. You can't go anywhere. People are talking more about Luke Cage than I've seen. I mean, this is
probably since the Avengers.
Oh no, I would say this is Game of Thrones and Walking Dead level, like social media chatter about a show. Like I have not seen so much chatter about a show since the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Game of Thrones. Yeah, that would be a good analog. I was talking about movies.
Right. Yeah. So people love this thing, and it's great. I'm enjoying it.
All the villains are good. There are 4 villains in this season.
Good.
They're all good.
So yeah, check it out.
There's enough time for all of them. That's really good.
Yeah,
that is unlikely.
It's good that they've done that. So talk it up, see it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to enjoy everything.
Honestly, I want a focus group of people who don't like their show and
find out why. Yeah.
Really good.
But, I mean, there's just going to be certain people some people just don't like superhero shows. Some people aren't going to like shows that even touch politics. And it's not that they don't like the politics. Some people just don't like politics. They just don't want to be around it. They just don't want to discuss it because it either A, bores them, or B, stresses them out. They just don't want to deal with it.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I want to say one thing. The first episode of The Defenders, just to do an illusion so people will think about it when they find the last episode of Luke Cage, I have a feeling there will be some Charlie Daniels music. A certain song by Charlie Daniels will be in the next season of The Defenders. I just have a feeling.
And we are getting next year. Is it 2017?
It's Iron Fist in March. They have announced it today. It just came down the pipeline today.
So we've got that.
Defenders will be before the end of the year.
Yes.
I think Jessica Jones will probably be the first thing after it, and then 3rd season of Daredevil probably.
Yes.
Or
And
no, they're filming Punisher. They're filming
yeah,
Punisher
Punisher's going to
now.
come
So
out here real soon too.
Probably be either Punisher or Jessica Jones after it.
Yep.
And then everything else.
Yeah, so we're going to see some cool. And there was a hint that we might see Luke Cage in Infinity War.
He says, the actor playing it says, there's a good chance we're not. But here's the thing. Yeah. Here's what I think could happen. When Infinity War happens, it ends, the first one ends, with a call to arms. That anybody with superpowers unite to stop this giant genocidal freak from killing us. And this could be a way that they could just introduce a ridiculous number of Marvel characters.
Yeah.
If by that time they get some X-Men working or maybe some Fantastic Four working, so maybe they just show up randomly.
Right.
That would be nice. But it would allow them to use like all these really small superheroes, and it would allow them to also use all of the Marvel Netflix characters could just show up as well.
Yeah.
It could be like an epic throwdown brawl against Thanos.
It would be pretty damn good.
Because that's what the second of the Infinity War movie should be. It should just be a 3-hour-long fight. That's all it should be, with some quippy dialogue. That would be amazing. It was just
be very good.
After fight after fight.
Yep. So that's pretty much it, folks. That's our show. Thank you for joining us. If you have been here,
is also really different from the comics.
Oh yeah, and they've been doing that.
He has a snake suit and filed down teeth.
They've changed a lot to make it work in a TV
Moira
show.
Was much fatter. Black Mario was very much a lot fatter.
They have done, but they've done a fantastic job. So
Luke
check
Cage
it out.
is really close to his character. Really close. They've nailed the character really well.
Yep.
What else? And for the most part, Diamondback is pretty much done. Like his character. I mean, in the comic books, he died in the second issue.
Yeah.
He was only in 2 issues of Luke Cage. He was in the origin story, and he died in the next issue. So they really, the fact that they're giving him a lot more than he got in the comic books is really nice.
Yeah.
He was only in it for a very brief period. And he's such an insignificant character. They introduced him an X-Men character called Diamondback that was like a woman in like a futuristic suit.
Cool.
Later in the comic books.
So yeah, folks, that's it for tonight. If you're watching the recording, you stuck with us the whole time, thank you. If you stuck with the live show the whole time, thank you very much. We love you all. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. Comment on the videos. Let us know what you think. Come back Saturday. Actually, come back Saturday for Saturday randomness. If I'm here, I will let you know on Friday. I might be out of town that day. And next Tuesday, we will be breaking down in more detail Luke Cage, what we thought about the show. We'll be talking hopefully to somebody who didn't like it as much or at all to get their ideas on why. And
he thinks Luke Cage is bland for some reason. I don't really see that.
Interesting.
He thinks the character is bland. I don't get that. He's not. He's a very good person, which I guess some people think is bland.
Well, we'll dig into that next week, and we'll see what we think and what everybody thinks. And thank you for joining us. You guys are awesome, and you enjoy the rest of your week.